Okay, so we're getting into another Bunkai strategies, and this time I'm going to show a couple of different applications for the same move. Now, whether you study the Pinans or the Heians, I think a lot of people have seen moves where we come in like this, and the wind down that comes to the hip. Obviously, if I'm blocking a kick with that, then I'm pretty much going to get my arms broken and he's going to punch my face in at the same time. So I think I've got to have a problem if we use that as our application. The one I like to use is this one, where the wrist is grabbed like this, and we take this and we drill through here and then bring this up to here like this. And the question often comes, if you're using both hands on this one limb, what's to stop him from punching your face in with that hand? Well, the answer is that as soon as you make this connection, then this goes on, and he really doesn't want to do anything with that other hand, because his body weight's now being supported by his shoulder. Now, for Richard's sake, I'm just going to let that out a little bit to show the next move, because in the kata, we know it goes straight up in the air. That's just going to take that off. So we're just going to take that up nice and gently, and then we're going to pull it down and look at the targets that present themselves for the next move. Now, that said, if that move is too complicated and people get themselves all caught up, most common thing that people do when we show them that is they'll go like this, and they'll go, well, I can't do the next bit. That's okay, you just did a different application. It's still a valid application, it's just not the same one. What's stopping him from punching your head off now? Well, the turn of your body for one thing, and then if you did want to pull that right down, then we're still into the same kind of moves. But people want others too. We particularly like dealing with big right hooks because they're the kind of technique that people throw out on the street. So when we meet that big right hook, we're going to meet it and go in. And then this hand is going to use the thumb knuckle to come right up into the kidneys while this hand drives down on the collarbone. And therefore we end up with our cross block having a body in the middle of it. So once we've done that and come into here, the pulling in motion is then to slip and pull into the chest. Here we're using the grip to keep the head pulled in. We're using, maybe we're going to kneeing or Thai boxing. Whatever it is, we just want to keep control of the man. Now, if he's not controllable, if the situation needed something more, we'd simply pop this up, pull the head down, and then go in with his balance completely changed. Right, so the key to the movement then is, do you see it all as one continuous movement, or do you see it as lots of different bits? Could we use just the high bit, for instance? Big hook comes in, we go straight into here, pull into here. My hands are now up very high, I'm using my elbows to keep his body away from mine, and then we'll pull that head down before we drill straight in with the fist, stepping punch, big ki, we get our big move. Or do you see it as one continuous thing where all the moves come together? There's no right or wrong answer to that. Depends on how you're feeling at the time and what you're looking at. Are we looking at the finesse of one particular part of the move, or are we looking at the whole of the kata as one progressive move? Either way, we can find some way of using that template. Now, what we also use is to say maybe we're not looking at someone who's in front of us at all, because this move's particularly suited for what happens when a hand goes on your shoulder, bear hug goes on, hands go up around your neck, it doesn't matter. From here, what we do is to stride long and low while we push our arms. Now that act means that my chest becomes freer and I'm more able to breathe. Pulling my hands in then gets me the space to come inside, and then we come up. Then taking this hand, we change his balance again while we pull him round and down, step through and drill. So therefore we have both an omote, a surface application, nose to nose, what happens when, and we have a reverse application. We have little things like, if you just take one part of the move and look at that, then we've got one right there, but the attacker is behind us this time. How would you get that hand off of you? Well, maybe it's simply pull it. You know, you haven't got to have very, very complicated applications. And then of course we have the inside of the application, where that big hook comes in, and I'm live enough to get around the back and work into the same kind of applications just from the rear of the opponent. So with all those things coming together, you can see how this one little sequence in that end of the Heians or Pinan family of kata, admittedly junior grade kata, can actually be used in all sorts of situations. And mainly because those moves are then taken from the bigger kata, the kanku or kushanku lineage. So we know that the moves themselves are a valid part of that fighting tradition. They're just not necessarily for children's karate. But it doesn't normally film like that. It normally.
In between is amazing. That's brilliant.
God, I would laugh if that appeared on YouTube.
Right, there we go. Right, that's what we're filming in there now. I'm sticking that on, Richard. That's recorded. Right.
Which one do I press?
Nothing. It's recording now.
Okay.